Hello students, hope you all are doing good. Here I am discussing the part 4 of chapter 5, the fundamental unit of life. So here we will discuss all the cell organelles which are left in the chapter. So first of all, let us see mitochondria. Now mitochondria is a cell organelle in plant cell as well as in animal cell. It is present in both the cells and it is called as the powerhouse of the cell. What is a powerhouse? That generates energy. Okay, so this cell organelle is releasing energy in the form of ATP. All right, so it is an energy house of the cell. Mitochondria is energy house of the cell, and the energy which is released is in the form of ATP. The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It is a sugar molecule and is the simplest form of energy that is produced in our cell. So ATP can also be regarded as the energy currency of the cell because this is the molecule that provides energy to the cell. Now looking at the structure of mitochondria, children, mitochondria has two membranes. Can you just think about another organelle which is having two membranes? Yes, nucleus. Nucleus also was having two membranes. Yes, which was having pores also. So mitochondria also has two membranes. The outer membrane is porous like the nuclear membrane, okay, so that there is exchange of material through this porous membrane, and the inner membrane is folded like this. Many folds are there. Now why such folds are there? To provide large surface area for generation of energy. Okay, so whenever folds are provided, what it will do? It will increase the surface area. So surface area, large surface area, what it will do? It will help in generating or giving the surface for generating more ATP through chemical reactions in the cell. Okay, so let us look at the structure of mitochondria carefully. So this is a cross section of this organelle. So two membranes are there. So this red part is the outer porous membrane. Then inner folded membrane, you can see it is folded. So these folds are called as cristae. Okay, the folds, inner folds or the membrane of mitochondria, inner membrane is folded and these folds are called cristae. Okay, then between these two membranes, outer and inner membrane, there is some space you can see. So this space is called as intermembrane space. Inter means between, membrane. So between the membrane, whatever space is there, two membranes, outer and inner, that is called as intermembrane space. You can see this blue colored part. This is the cytoplasm of mitochondria, and this cytoplasm is called as matrix. Just to differentiate between the cytoplasm of the cell and cytoplasm of mitochondria, it is just named as matrix. Now let us see what this matrix contains. This matrix contains certain granules. These are structures which store proteins or starch. Okay, then ribosome. Ribosomes we had discussed, these are the protein factories of the cell. So these are very small dot-like structures and these make proteins. So mitochondria has its own ribosome. Like nucleus has ribosomes, similarly mitochondria also has its own ribosomes, so it can synthesize its own proteins. Then very important enzyme is present in mitochondria, that is called as ATP synthase. This enzyme is required during respiration, right? So ATP synthase is an enzyme which is present in the mitochondria. Now in this inner membrane, actually the structures like I am drawing, such structures are present. So on these structures only this ATP synthase particles are present. Okay, so these structures are present and here the chemical reactions are happening over these surface, on this surface. All right, then you can see DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid. Remember, it is our genetic material. So mitochondria contains its own genetic material. Okay, so mitochondria is an organelle which contains two membranes, inner membrane and outer membrane. It contains its own ribosomes and it contains its own DNA also. Now let us look at another cell organelle, that is plastids. Plastids are present only in plant cells. These are not present in animal cells. Now there are three different types of plastids. See, from the term plastid, actually these are the organelles which are giving pigments to the plant, or you can say the color to the plant, okay, is given through these plastids. Let us look at the three different types. One is leucoplast, chromoplast and chloroplast. Leuco means white or colorless. Plast comes from this plastids, okay. So colorless plastids are leucoplast. So they will not give any color to the plant, but they will store different food materials like starch, oils and proteins. Chromoplast, chromo means color, plast comes from plastid. So chromoplast are colored plastids. It contains pigments. Pigments are nothing but structures which are giving color to the plant. So it gives color to flowers and fruits. We see different color flowers, yes. So chromoplast contains different pigments, red, yellow, which gives different color to the flower. Then chloroplast, chloro, chlorophyll, plast, plastid. So this is a plastid which is containing chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll is a green color pigment which is very much required by plants to make its own food. So these help in photosynthesis, fine, and it also gives color to the leaf. So I hope plastids are clear by now. Now let us look at the structure of an important plastid, that is chloroplast. Now you will see certain similarities in structure of mitochondria and chloroplast. Let us look at it. See, mitochondria also contained two membranes. Chloroplast also contains two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane. You can see, yes. Now the inside this chloroplast, there is cytoplasm present, yes, and that cytoplasm is called as stroma. Remember, in mitochondria this cytoplasm was called matrix, and in chloroplast this cytoplasm is called stroma. Just to differentiate the cytoplasm of different cell organelles, the different names are given. Then there are certain these stack-like structures, coin-like structures, you can see. Yes, these are called as thylakoid. These stack coin-like structures. And this whole stack together is called as granum. Listen again. This single coin or round-like structure is called as thylakoid, and a stack of these is called as granum. Alright. And if you see, it also contains ribosome and DNA. So mitochondria and plastids, listen carefully, mitochondria and plastid, they contain their own DNA and own ribosomes. That is why these cell organelles can also be called as semi-autonomous organelles. So what is semi-autonomous organelle? Semi means half, autonomous means independent. So they are half independent, means they can carry out maximum of their reactions without the help of the cell only. Like they have their own DNA, they have their own ribosome. So maximum functions they can perform by their own self. They don't need the whole cell. That is why we are saying they are semi-autonomous. They are mostly independent. They can survive independently without the cell also. The last cell organelle which we will discuss is vacuoles. Now vacuoles are nothing but storage sacs. Okay, these are the storage sacs which are present in both plant and animal cells. Only the size varies. In animal cells it is small in size, but in plant cells it is large in size, and the number also varies. Okay, in animals, because it is in small in size, so number is less, and plant cells it is large in size and the number is, in animal cells the number is more, and in plant cells the number is less, because the size of vacuole is large in plant cells. So the number of vacuoles in plant cells are less, and in animal cells the number of vacuoles are more, but the size is small. Now in plant cells, maximum of the plant cell is covered with this vacuole only. So 50 to 90% of cell volume is taken by this vacuole. So for example, I draw a plant cell. We will look into it in the next lecture. So if this is the plant cell, So see, maximum space is occupied by the vacuole. That is why this vacuole is sometimes referred to as the central vacuole, because maximum space is covered, cell volume is covered by this vacuole. Now what this vacuole contains? It contains cell sap. Cell sap is a liquid or fluid of the cell, of plant cell, which is containing amino acids, sugars, proteins and other organic acids. So mainly these are the storage sacs. Let us look at the functions now of vacuole. First of all, it provides the strength to plant cells. It provides turgidity and rigidity, means it is providing the strength to the plant. Then in amoeba, food vacuole is present through which it takes the food. So inside the vacuole only in amoeba, the food is stored and digested. Fine. Then in certain other unicellular organisms, some vacuoles are present which help in release of excess wastes and excess water. So these types of vacuoles are sometimes termed as contractile vacuoles. So we are looking at the three important functions of vacuole. That is, it gives the turgidity, means the strength to the plant. And in amoeba, there is a food vacuole, a vacuole which helps in digestion of food. And in certain other unicellular organisms, there are contractile vacuoles. What they will do, they will help in getting rid of excess waste from the cell and excess water that is expelled out of it, whatever excess is there. Now the last topic of your chapter is cell division, but we will also discuss the plant and animal cell along with the differences and diagrams in the next lecture. So cell division, from the term itself, when a cell divides, okay, and grows, that is basically cell division. So there are two types of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. Let us look at both of them side by side so that the differences also between the two are clear to us. Mitosis is a process, children, in which a cell divides further into two cells. Okay, a cell is dividing into two cells. So means that if suppose this is the nucleus of the cell, nucleus will also divide and cytoplasm will also divide like this. Okay, and then further division will give rise to two cells. But in meiosis, this is a cell division in which 4 daughter cells or 4 cells are produced. So something like this happens in meiosis. Firstly, 2 are produced. Then the second cycle of division is there. So at the end, 4 cells are formed in meiosis. Mitosis occurs only in dividing cells, in growing cells. And meiosis only occurs in reproductive cells, the cells that take part in reproduction. So meiosis is only happening in reproductive cells. Now mitosis includes only one cycle of division. Okay, like this, one cell giving rise to 2. This is one cycle of division, right? But meiosis includes 2 cycles of division. See, I told you that firstly one cell will form 2 and then there is second cycle in which this cell will further divide and this will further divide. So end result is 4 cells. Okay. So in case of mitosis, actually it is equational division. Equational division means whatever was there here will reach here. Okay. Fine. But in case of meiosis, first cycle is equational and second cycle is reductional. This you understand. In meiosis, the first is equational, means equal, like whatever the mother cell is there, same daughter cell is there. But in case of second cycle, whatever material is present in this cell, only half will go here, half will go here. Similarly, whatever material is present in this cell, half will go here and half will go here. Okay, I will just discuss it in the last slide with the help of a diagram. Now mitosis, you should remember that it helps in cell growth and repair. Okay, the growth of the cell and repairing of the cell. And meiosis, it helps in the formation of gametes. Gametes are the reproductive cells which will take part in reproduction. Okay, so mitosis helps in the cell growth and repair, whereas meiosis, it helps in the reproduction process by formation of reproductive cells called as gametes. So let us look at it, what I was talking about, equational and reductional. These two terms were there. So let us see what I was saying. You remember chromosomes? We discussed in the nucleus. Yes. So in chromosomes, again I will tell you, are structures that contain our genetic material, that is DNA. Okay, it contains DNA. So in humans, how many chromosomes are present? 46. Okay, and half of 46 is 23. That is why when a cell is containing full genetic material, it is called diploid. And when a cell is containing half genetic material, it is called as haploid. Okay, this is clear. So in humans, there are 46 chromosomes. See, in mitosis, what is happening? There are 46 in the mother cell. And when it is dividing, again, the two cells which are formed, they are having 46 equal material that I was telling you. That is why it is equational. Means equal genetic material is transferred. Yes. In meiosis, there are two cycles of division. First cycle is equational. Means in the first, it happens like mitosis only. The mother cell is giving rise to two cells which contain 46 chromosomes, if we are talking about humans. Okay. In second cycle, what is going to happen? This chromosome number will be reduced. This is meiosis. In meiosis, this chromosome number gets halved. So when this will divide now, let me look at this picture. So now if this divides now, the genetic material will be half. So here 23 chromosomes, here also 23 chromosomes will be passing on. That is why this cycle is called as reductional division. Here half number of chromosomes, means in gametes, in reproductive cells, there are 23 chromosomes because of meiosis, half. But in mitosis, in our dividing cells, in growing cells, always the chromosome number is 46. But in reproductive cells, it is 23. Now why? Can you think why the number of chromosomes in gametes should be half? Because this gamete, suppose in male also and in female also, this gamete is produced, and these gametes have to fuse during reproduction. So when these will fuse, like if this is the male gamete and this is the female gamete, when these will fuse during reproduction, what it will form? It will form a cell having 46 chromosomes. Fine. So that is why it is very much essential that meiosis takes place and the chromosome number is reduced to half. So that during reproduction, when the two cells fuse, then 23 they will add up and give 46. All right.